half stepping.
I don't know that song, so I can't really sing it.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Get in on the discussion. 804-447-0601. 804-447-0601. Get it. To get in on tonight's discussion, I want to get in tonight on just a couple of real quick hits, and then we're going to tackle a couple of things a little bit harder. The first thing, I just want to have just a quick comment on what went on in Wimbledon this weekend. Marcus J. Is a huge fan of tennis. Wimbledon is by far my favorite tournament.
Have you ever played tennis?
I did briefly when I was in my 20s. I lived at a place that had a tennis court, and on occasion, my neighbor and I would play.
Did he say embarrass?
Embarrass our wives and go out there and play. We would get a case of beer and go out there and just kick it. And I found out real quick after doing that once that that's not a good look, but I digress. But anyway, congratulations to Serena Williams for winning her 5th Wimbledon, her 14th Grand Slam. Congratulations to Venus and Serena for winning the doubles. Anybody that knows your man Marcus J knows that I am not a fan of Serena Williams, but I do appreciate her swag and what she does on the court, and the fact that most of the tennis world is deathly afraid of her. I do get a kick out of that. I am not a fan of someone that can't win as gracefully as they lose, and anybody that knows Serena Williams knows that when she wins, all is great, and when she loses, she wants to ram a racket down your effing throat. So not a good look, but hey, you got to root for who you're rooting for, so it is what it is. But I was glad to see the British guy, Andy Murray, make it to the finals. He's the first British to make it to the finals at Wimbledon, which is a British tennis tournament. First time in 73 years, I believe, but he ended up losing in 4 sets to Roger Federer, who pretty much is one of the greatest tennis players that we're seeing. If you're into tennis, you already know. If you're not into tennis, you want to try to get into it. And you heard his names like Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi and Yvonne Lendl and McEnroe and Connors and names like that. Yeah, Roger Federer is right up there with those cats. So definitely wanted to give a shout out to the tennis fans and folks who appreciate such a great and graceful game. Other thing I want to kind of get into is Reggie Jackson and some of the comments that he has recently made. Reggie Jackson, of course, is a legendary Hall of Fame baseball player. He spent 5 years in the Bronx playing for the 27-time world champion New York Yankees. And this weekend he came out, actually not this weekend, but last week in a Sports Illustrated interview, he came out and he made some comments about Alex Rodriguez, who plays third base for the Yankees right now. And one of the things he said was the fact that Alex's statistics may have been great, but they also may have been tainted by his admitted steroid use, which I don't think he's breaking any, he's not breaking any confidences there. There are a lot of people who feel that way. But where he did ruffle a few feathers, Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson questioned the Hall of Fame credentials of fellow Hall of Famers like Gary Carter, who recently passed away from brain surgery in February, like Kirby Puckett, who also is no longer with us. He also questioned Phil Niekro, knuckleballer. He also questioned Burt Blyleven, some of these names you may not have heard of. But the whole point of it is, how is it, and I'm gonna start with you, Big Rube, because I know that you're a Yankee fan. I'll start with you, and I don't want to take a lot of time on the subject, but I did feel that it was worth spending a little bit of time on. And it's not even really a Yankee story. It's more of a Hall of Famer speaking out against others. So my question to you is this. How do you feel about a Hall of Famer calling out other Hall of Famers, one? And two, how do you feel about a Hall of Famer who's on the payroll for a specific team calling out a potential Hall of Famer who plays for said team?
Well, if you're on the payroll, you shouldn't be talking. The only Hall of Famers, first of all, Hall of Famers talking means absolutely nothing to me. They've done that. They got their award. They got their little ring. Yada, yada, yada. Move off to the sunset. Do I really care? No. If some Hall of Famer came up to me and say, Big Rube, you need to do your job, your job right, I'll look at them and be like, didn't you leave here for a reason? I mean, you can't tell me how
old age too.
I mean, but you can't come at me and be like, you ain't doing what you supposed to be doing when you ain't here. You don't know what it is right now, So I feel like they speak out of turn. I'm a big proponent of Joe Theismann speaking out of turn like water is wet. I am not a fan of Joe Theismann. I really wasn't a fan of him when he played for the Redskins, and I am an avid Redskins fan. But then when he calls Redskins games, it's like the worst because all he does is talk about how bad the Skins are. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? Stay a Hall of Famer. Do games other than the team that you used to play on. Until you can do that, at least. And then if you're getting paid by that team, you really shouldn't be saying nothing.
But you want him to be okay. Let me not just get on switch sports here, but don't you want somebody who can really criticize the team being a member of that team?
No,
why not?
I mean,
why not?
That's just like
both of them have put in their dues.
I understand that.
Okay.
However, you put in your dues. That don't mean that gives you an opinion.
Why not?
About what's going on right now.
So okay, somebody's coming behind you and your program that you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
And they do something. You not gonna talk bad about them or try to do something to motivate them or encourage them?
One, it's not motivate and encourage. If you can motivate and encourage them, you don't need to talk to the press about it. You can't go man to man or woman to woman or man to woman or woman to man. My thing is when you put stuff out on a press level, then that's straight disrespect. My thing is, if you can't come to me as a man and say, "Yo, Big Rube, you not doing this right.
Big Rube, you not doing this right."
All right, well, let me take it back to where I typically wanted to be and where I wanted to have the conversation go. And I'm gonna ask a specific question. I'm gonna start with Carlton on this one. Reggie Jackson, we know, was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
is a Hall of Famer. My personal opinion, and I want to ask you yours. My personal opinion is, once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're in the Hall of Fame. Okay? But we also know that there's certain levels of Hall of Famers. Yeah. Like Babe Ruth with 714 home runs versus Reggie with 530 plus. Mm-hmm. Different levels of Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We're talking about Walter Johnson with over 500 wins versus Burt Blyleven with 280. Different levels of Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is this, Carlton. One, do you agree with my point that I just made, one, or do you disagree and explain it? One. And two, the fact that he specifically called out Gary Carter, who is beloved around Major League Baseball, who's beloved in the same city that Reggie Jackson is beloved in, with Reggie being a Yankee and Gary being a Met. Do you think it's too soon, or does it not matter? Is it okay for him to make that point, regardless of the fact that Gary Carter, the kid who I took my nickname from when I was growing up, is no longer here anymore?
The thing about different levels, like you said, I agree with the fact that there are different levels of Hall of Fames. That's because I cannot either duplicate, exceed, or match what you've already done. So therefore, whatever I did must have looked good to somebody. Again, that's because they're different eras. They're different, they have different attributes, period. So everybody's in the Hall of Fame for one reason or another. Okay, Emmett may be in there because he's the second leading touchdown getter in NFL, but he's also the leading rusher in NFL history. You have Wilt Chamberlain in the Hall of Fame, and one of the best things he did was score 100 points in a game. Who else has done that? Jordan is a Hall of Famer. He's got 6 rings, but everybody's different. So they should get some way of saying, "Hey, this is what we did. This is how we do it. Let's keep it going like that." That's just my opinion. I ain't got a problem with him talking about him.
Ruben?
My issue is not the fact that he talked to Carter or lack of talk to Carter. That's my opinion. Whenever you put stuff in media, that means you didn't even bother to talk to the person. That's disrespect. You just trying to blow him up.
Well, just to be clear, in the interest of full disclosure, what happened? He was being interviewed by Sports Illustrated. So he was asked questions, and that's how this information came out.
So?
Okay.
So you
just
can't
make
say,
that point.
I mean, my thing is, you can clearly say, well, honestly, that's something I'd like to talk to such about. If you have something bad to say about somebody and you can't tell them to their face, then don't even say it in media. That's how media works. Media, they absorb stuff, and, they had this. Sports Illustrated is really good about it. You want to start some stuff, you have an interview with Sports Illustrated. Oh, they'll start you. They'll blow you up. Right. Even though you might not have meant what you said, but they'll make it so, well, he said this.
Right.
But they won't put the rest of it. And then they're selling magazines. Media is nothing about making money and doesn't matter how they make money, they just make it. My issue is Reggie Jackson should have been smart enough, because it's not like it's the first time he's been talked to by Sports Illustrated. Really, I don't want to talk about that on the record, because that's between me and him.
One thing that I will say on Reggie, not defending him, certainly not, but just to kind of give people an idea of who Reggie is and what Reggie does. He was interviewed, I guess, about 10 years ago, and I heard this on a rival radio show this morning. The person who was affected actually told the story, so I feel okay actually telling it because he told it. But basically, he grew up a Yankees fan. He grew up watching Reggie Jackson in that era of the Yankees, and he was excited to actually be able to interview Reggie. Mm-hmm. And he walks up to Reggie, and he says, "Reggie, it's a pleasure to meet you." And Reggie's response to him was, "It absolutely is a pleasure to meet me." That's Reggie. That's how he is. So, while I disagree with the prudence in making those statements, I also understand consider the source. So I want to leave that point there and kind of move on to another point in the Sports Roundup. This isn't really a subject that you'll find on ESPN, but it is something that I had on my Facebook page about a week ago, and I wanted to kind of get you guys' position on it because we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the air, and this would be a perfect kind of segue into our NBA free agency part that we want to get into. Is it ever, and Ruben, I'm going to start with you on this one. Is it ever appropriate to change your team? And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple examples. One, if you're a New York Knicks fan and you live in Brooklyn, New York, you got a new team that's going to be playing in downtown Brooklyn starting in October, November of this year. Is it okay to switch your team? Is it okay to grow up a New York Knicks fan in Jersey City, New Jersey, move to Richmond, Virginia, and decide, you know what, I don't live in that area no more. I want to be a Washington Wizards fan. My point is it ever okay to switch your team? Ruben?
No, because if you're not a diehard, it doesn't matter where you move or who moves to you. You're either going to be a fan of the team or you're not. It's that simple. Now, there are not too many not too many Bobcat fans out there.
You speak Hornets. It's okay. You speak
Unless
Hornets.
the people who live in Charlotte. I understand. I get that. However, it's one of those things where, for instance, Marcus J., you are an avid Knicks fan, and Big Rube is an avid Lakers fan. And I could care, and whatever stupid things you like to say, well, you don't live there, so you shouldn't be a fan. Whatever. It is what it is. Everybody has their own opinion, but I like the Lakers. You like the Knicks, and if you move to Virginia, and you still like the Knicks.
Yeah.
If you move to Florida, you still gonna like the Knicks. You move to Kansas City, Missouri, you're gonna like the Knicks.
Well,
Knicks.
I'm always be a Cowboys fan, born, dead, whatever.
Yeah, you're sad too.
Whatever. See me come Thanksgiving.
Well, think about it.
All I gotta say is this. Man, you know what?
Just go. Just go.
This mic is killing me here.
Just go.
Are you ever gonna not be a Cowboys fan?
I'm always going to be a Cowboys fan. It's never a reason to change my team. Never. Never, ever, 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 never. Okay?
Hey, look, I agree with him, and this is one of the few things that all three of us are gonna go around the room and agree on. The only exception I will give you is if you grew up a fan of another team and a team moves into your backyard. That's the only exception.
What?
That's the reason. And that's the reason
Garbage.
why.
That's bull.
Hey, well, hey, look.
I won't even give you that.
Yeah, I'll give you that because the reason why I'll give you that is because it's consistent with my original point about being a Richmond, Virginia, or Petersburg, Virginia person who roots for a team in freaking California. To me, you root for a team that's in your hood, or you root for the team that's where you grew up or where you live. You root for a team on the other side of the country. For me, personally, your credibility is already low.
So basically, you're saying that regardless of the rules that you have initiated for yourself,
established, yes,
then you feel like you can change them, even though. So you basically saying that all those Knicks fans, it's cool for them to become Brooklyn Nets fans.
I'm saying that
you would give them a pass.
I would give them a pass. Yeah.
Hypocritical.
Hey, you can
as long as you admit that you're hypocritical on that, we go.
I don't think it's hypocritical because it's consistent with my overall opinion all along. With you root for the team that's in your hood. You don't root for the team that's 6,000 miles
Well,
away.
if
You
you-
ever been to the Great Western Forum?
No.
You ever been to the Staples Center?
No.
Have you ever gone on the road to see them more than 5 times in your life?
Now I've only seen him 3 times in my life.
Okay, well, fair enough. But anyway,
I mean, so what?
what you mean? So what? So you can root for a team on the other end of the country,
I can.
and I think that's crazy. But you can't root for a team that's in your backyard. You think I'm wrong for saying that's okay with that?
But I can root for a team across the country, but then someone moves to Richmond or Petersburg. It's cool for me to change my allegiance.
I'm not saying that you should.
No, but you
I'm not saying that you
you just said it's acceptable to do
To
so.
me, it would be, yeah.
Well, that's stupid.
It would be consistent. No, because I have a choice.
Oh, but hold
Because
on.
I have a choice.
Okay.
And if you have stayed with me for as long as you've known me, you would know that I've always said you root for the team where you live or you root for the team where you grew up.
You
That's
said
it.
that.
I've always said
So
that.
if a team moves into my
mean-
backyard, however, I feel like
You
my
can choose.
Cowboys,
You can choose or not choose.
So basically, you want us to.
But when you
our center of opinionness.
no.
But that's what you're saying.
You can do what you want to do.
You're
You
saying
can do what
you're-
you want to do.
I understand that.
I am
But against
giving
your
you my
rules,
opinion.
But by your
My
rules,
opinion.
I'm wrong.
My opinion.
Because I choose.
Not my
to-
rules, my opinion.
804-447-0601.
Like this one right